Also breaking tonight, Judicial Watch suing the State Department to learn why former President Obama's UN ambassador, Samantha Power, of all people, was unmasking those close to Trump, including General Michael Flynn. The former UN ambassador testified to Congress that the unmasking request may be under her name, but she didn't make those requests. Well, let's find out. Power unmasked Flynn 7 times between 2016 election and President Trump's inauguration. Well, joining us tonight to take this up and more, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, good to see you. Samantha Power has a defense. Somebody in her office was doing these terrible things, and she apparently doesn't have a clue, knows nothing about it. What do you make of it?
Well, let's see the documents. Where are the documents? You know, we had asked for these documents back in 2017. We got the runaround. We sued. The State Department under President Trump, unfortunately, told us they couldn't even confirm or deny whether she asked anyone to be unmasked, let alone the numbers. Then finally, the ODNI under Ratcliffe and Grinnell released the unmasking information about General Flynn. So that defense fell away. So we're back in federal court again. And again, this is only a partial request in the sense that, as you pointed out earlier, Vice President Biden had unmasking requests. You had other agencies unmasking, the Trump team as well. It even goes into the Oval Office with the President's Chief of Staff unmasking Flynn. There's a lot to be uncovered, and when your listeners hear unmasking, they should substitute the word spying. This was spying on American citizens using our intelligence apparatus.
You know, my guess is most Americans, Tom, had never heard of unmasking until the Obama administration had wiretapped, if you will, President Trump. And he said famously that he was being wiretapped, and the left-wing national media mocked him and scoffed. And by God, they hadn't waited for him to go into the Oval Office. He had been wiretapped in his campaign. He had been spied on through his campaign, through the transition, and right into the Oval Office. It is stunning what has been going on.
Yeah, I mean, if I were President Trump, I'd call in all the cabinet and I say, you know what? I want you to find out what your agencies were doing with unmaskings, and I want full disclosure to the American people so we can get accountability. Enough with the secrecy. We know what you're covering up. We're covering up misconduct. And why is it that Judicial Watch has to sue for information about this wild abuse of power by the Obama gang?
Because somebody apparently has made a decision not to investigate. It seems that straightforward. Why should there be we're talking about 4 years ago now. 4 years ago. It is stunning stuff. The American people are numb, I'm sure, many of them, at listening to this day after day, week after week. And meanwhile, President Obama and Vice President Biden are not to be, we shouldn't in any way sully their extraordinary reputations by charging them with responsibility for what they have done here. And what they have done is be complicit in the very least, and likely be controlling in a conspiracy to overthrow a president.
A malicious, seditious conspiracy. You know, the U.S. Attorney Durham was hired or tasked with investigating all of this beginning back in April of last year. We're now in July, and there's been not one indictment and frankly no evidence that any of these senior officials have been questioned seriously by the Justice Department about this abuse of power never seen before in American history.
Never before seen, and people forget that this president, through the first 3 years of his first term, has been under FBI and special counsel investigation, and then, by God, the radical Dems had the effrontery to produce a fraudulent impeachment inquiry that, like the special counsel investigation, like the FBI investigation that preceded that, was nothing more than a blocking action and an effort to try to get lucky just one time and overthrow the president. And the only people who've been found guilty of anything are radical Dems and deep staters who have taken upon themselves to do a former president's bidding and surveil. Oh, of course, they had to be, according to former President Obama, they had to be the right people in the FBI to surveil this president and try to destroy his presidency.
Yeah, 15 months, no action by DOJ, and frankly, Congress has been AWOL as well. I mean, Judicial Watch is we're happy to do the work.
Just as well, Tom, I have to say. Yeah. Congress is the radical Dems. Watching the House of Representatives, it is like an ideological Animal House rolling over and over again. It's just sickening to witness. You get the last word here, Tom.
Well, look, there's got to be accountability. We're doing our best to try to get the information out. Congress isn't going to do the work. To the degree they're doing work, it's political. But it's important that the information come out because the Justice Department, to the degree it's going to do anything, it will only do anything if pushed. And public disclosure about the criminality will make it harder for the Justice Department to not do its job. It may not result in them doing their job, but at least we'll do what we will have done what is possible to do to force their hand. Frankly, the president should just cut to the chase, order a special counsel, and have someone independent of the DOJ to do it. Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I can't stomach another idiotic special counsel. I've had a belly full of them. I don't want to hear of them. Tom, thanks so much. Appreciate it. We got a Justice Department. Go to work. Thanks so much. Thank goodness Judicial Watch is working.